Gentleman reserves. The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And again, I want to thank my friend and colleague from Pennsylvania for the respectful debate. I understand that we don't see eye to eye on the bills that this House will unfortunately be considering this week, but nonetheless appreciate his courtesy. Mr. Speaker, today marks 200 days since House Republicans gavelled us into this 118th session of the United States Congress. 200 days that they have been in control. 200 days that they have had the gavels here in Washington, D.C. The American people be justified in asking, how have House Republicans spent those 200 days? Any bills to address inflation, to lower costs for working families? Any bills to grow the middle class, to build safer communities? The answer is none. Instead, they have pursued extreme policy after extreme policy. And this MilCon appropriation bill is no exception. Gas stoves, the northern eared bat, the lesser prairie chicken, and whatever other issue House Republicans conjure up when we are back in session. That's how they have chosen to spend their time and taxpayer dollars. When House Democrats were in control, working with President Biden and our colleagues in the upper chamber, we focused on issues that mattered to the American people. A bipartisan infrastructure law that unfortunately most of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle in this chamber voted against, that is rebuilding bridges and roads and highways across this country from Pennsylvania to Colorado, ensuring folks have clean water to drink and clean air to breathe. The PACT Act, the most comprehensive veterans health care legislation enacted in my lifetime, that 174 Republicans in this chamber voted against. The Inflation Reduction Act, capping insulin costs at $35 for seniors participating in Medicare across the country. That is how we spent our time. As I said earlier, we know that in 66 days, House Republicans will shut down the government. They are telegraphing that. Many of their members have said publicly that they want to shut down the government, that in their view, a shutdown of the government is the desired outcome. 66 days. And in 72 hours, Republicans will gavel this chamber out of session. They will adjourn this chamber for a 45-day recess. 45 days. 66 days until the government runs out of funding. 45-day recess. 72 hours until that recess. And we're here debating the lesser prairie chicken and the northern long-eared bat. It's deeply disappointing, and it does not comport with how the American public expects us to operate here in Washington, D.C. We can do better. And I would challenge my Republican colleagues to come back from the brink that I described earlier, work with us in good faith, help us deliver for the American people. Mr. Speaker, I urge my colleagues to vote no on this rule and to vote no on the underlying bills. If you support cutting military construction, if you support not addressing military infrastructure backlog, if you support zeroing out PFAS remediation, then by all means, vote for the MilCon bill. But if you oppose those draconian cuts, as I do, then I hope you'll vote no. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I will yield back the balance of my time.